program are those of the speakers and the host, and do not necessarily reflect those of Yoakley Scott Corporation and your sports network.
Yeah, I've been closer to Jesus before, so can you help me out? Oh, can you help me out? Am I on my own? Am I on my own? But can you help me out? Am I on my own? Am I on my own? Or can you help me out? Can you help me out? I've been scared to look in my soul. I've been afraid I would follow the road. Yeah, afraid of the things I've been told.
Hello, everybody, and welcome inside a Monday edition of Running Point on ysnlive.com, brought to you by Greenwood Chevrolet in Austintown. Anthony Hartwig, as always, joined by Ty Bartell in the nice new polo. I like it. He's not got to switch our background. Wait.
No, I mean,
This is Running Point.
after Ysn Academy over the weekend, and I came home and I immediately told my wife too. I was like, I like the new look. I said I'm gonna hang it. I'm gonna put it on a hanger. I'm gonna leave it right in the old office too. And I said that's what I'm gonna break out on Monday. So breaking out the new kick.
We are officially on the week of fall sports getting completely underway. There's already final scores coming in, golf results coming in, a couple of soccer results over the weekend. But, this is the week where it really starts to get downhill and gets rolling. And we are going to start off the week by bringing in the head coach of the West Branch girls soccer program, Cheryl Fico. Coach, thank you so much for jumping in today.
Thanks, Anthony. Thanks, Todd. Well, pleasure to be here.
Coach, I mean, we always we kind of like to start off with a sort of meet the team segment too. And I know West Branch girls soccer program is no stranger to success. So I'd like to know who's going to be leading the helm and some faces we need to get to know here for this 2022-23 edition of the Warriors.
Yeah, for sure. The 2022 team, we are an experienced group. So we have 8 seniors and 11 juniors returning. Actually, I should say 7 seniors returning. We picked up a new senior this year, but it's an experienced group. We bring back probably 9 or 10 of the starting faces from last year. So it's a very similar group to what we saw on the field last year. We bring back some key defenders in Alexis Gregory and Samantha Conoval holding down the center of our back line. We return about 2 of our 3 center mids. So you'll see, again, familiar faces, Bree Thomas. You'll see Sophia Gregory in our midfield. And we also bring back our starting front 3. So you'll see Daphne Snyder is our striker. We've got Chloe Dennison out on a wing. Kennedy Berger is going to come in some for us this year in a wing. And we also have Sarah Bungard, who's going to probably play either of the outside wing or outside defender positions for us. And all of those girls saw quality minutes last year. So those would be some of our returners. Then we also have McKenna Linz is one of our senior captains in the midfield. Haley Ridgway is going to see a lot of time in defense for us this year. And we have 2 goalkeepers from last year, both returning. So a lot of familiar faces for West Branch.
Coach, before we get into even more specifics about this year, I mean, it's your 8th season, and every one of those seasons, you guys have won the EBC, going for your 9th consecutive conference championship.
Right.
Gotta ask, what's it been like to be a part of such a successful run and to kind of have it be your whole coaching career here at West Branch as well?
Yeah, no, Coach Wallace was here before myself, so she has a couple of those wins, and this will be my 6th year at the helm. So I think I have had 5, and Coach Wallace had 3 seasons with the girls, but it's been a tremendous run. For us, West Branch for me is a special place. It's where I graduated from high school quite a while ago. So it's a place that I truly believe in and support with everything that I have. And as you guys, I'm sure, are well aware, it's no easy task to keep that success going. And that's really what we've been working on together as a team and a coaching staff, is to how can we best support these girls so that they believe in themselves and they can achieve their full potential.
What was the biggest challenge stepping into that role, knowing that there was already some conference champions there, and what are the challenges now keeping that rolling throughout the year?
My first year was definitely a little bit intimidating. We had a tough out of conference schedule my first year there, and we suffered some losses right out of the gates. And I think there were some questions. Again, it was about getting that buy-in from the girls and saying, hey, we will get there. And we had tough games, against Salem that year. Marlington was good that for my first year too. And we also had Louisville in our conference still. So I vividly remember those games. I think we had Salem, Marlington, and Alliance as like our last 3 conference games. And those were all basically have to win games. And that was just an amazing feeling to see the girls grow into that season. And to be able to keep it going. And then since then, we've really tried not to look back too much. Each team is a new team, and I think they each have to find their own identity and their own way forward. And each year, of course, you've got to get those girls to take that next step up to backfill those that you've lost. But I think, and we spend a lot of time as a coaching staff thinking about this year. How can we keep this going? What do the girls? What can we do to help the girls get to where they need to be? And what I liked about this year's group is that for their team, their banner that we'll have on the field, they chose the slogan "humble and hungry," and I think those two words are basically, I think, what we need to keep in the forefront of our mind to keep our program moving forward. We have to be humble and not rely on past successes to carry us into this year. And we also need to have that hunger in us that says, hey, we're gonna work hard for this. We're gonna put in that effort. And we are still hungry. It's never a guarantee, and we know it's never a guarantee.
That humble and hungry mindset might go into the answer to this question, but how do you try to balance as a coach, getting them to respect the tradition of the program and the work ethic that it took to get that, but also realize, like you said, every year is a little bit different, and you do have a new identity, and you can't define yourself by 8 consecutive EBC championships.
It's not easy. And I think, if any of the years, I think this year we've really been, as a coaching staff, we've really been talking about it. So it's about getting the girls. I think a big word is to believe in themselves. So we try to instill that confidence in the girls that they can do it. But at the same time, behind the belief and self-confidence, there has to be that work ethic. And we like to try to balance our program where we ask you to work hard, but on the other hand, we also want you to have a lot of fun. So that's kind of the two components that we look at balancing is, how can we push them? Can we get them to work hard? Can we get them to be all in? But at the same time, we want them to be enjoying each other and having fun, so that they look forward to coming out. But no, to your point, it's definitely not easy. I think it's easier to chase a championship and be an underdog than it is to be defending one. So it's easier to build up that underdog mindset than to be in the position where you have had past success, but at the same time, that does not guarantee any future success.
I mean, this is a program too unique to you because you've had success in it as a player and as a coach now. I'm just curious too, in your experiences with it, in what ways have you noticed the game evolved, or has it evolved then in the years since you were playing to now? What have you noticed?
Yeah, I was playing back in the 1990s, so it was quite a while ago. And I would say that I've noticed, the game as a whole has evolved. There were fewer opportunities for female soccer. Then I spent 2 years on the boys team before West Branch got their girls team my junior year. So now you have this, great expansion of female soccer, which is amazing to see. And you have a lot more travel opportunities, a lot more club opportunities. So really, to be a competitive team in today's environment, you have to have, from top to bottom, you have to have a very, very competitive, competent team, whereas maybe before you could get by with having a couple good players. Now you really kind of need to have the full slate to have a team that's all comfortable on the ball, all on the same page, and is all ready to go out and work.
Well,
so I think it's just a general evolution of the game of soccer for sure.
I want to talk about some of your players a little bit more in depth. And I think one of the ones that is going to get talked about a lot this year, not just because what she can do for you, but because of how exciting she is in the whole West Branch athletics year, is Sophia Gregory coming into a junior year.
Right.
You're going to be asking a little bit more of her now as an upperclassman, a little bit more responsibilities put on her shoulders. What do you expect from her this year on the soccer field?
Sophia, she's one of our midfielders, and really, as you know, she's well known in basketball. She's a great track athlete as well. So she's just an all around athletic girl. For us, particularly, she with her size and her speed, she is able to cover a lot of territory in the midfield for us. So for her, it's winning that ball. It's slowing down the other team and getting it back up into our attack. She does a great job winning balls out of the air, bringing them down under control and getting them back to us. And we look at her to, again, keep growing in her confidence. So her confidence to take people on, her confidence to take shots and to get up into the attack more. Those are things, as she gets to be into her third year as a starter, we just look to see her progression. So I would say just more, more leadership and more confidence, really stepping up into those roles for sure.
Another junior that's going to be really important is Chloe Dennison. I mean, your offense really ran through her last year. I think 18 goals in the season a year ago. Obviously, she's stepping into her junior season too. She's going to be asked for more responsibilities. What are expectations from her this year?
To have Chloe, she had a great sophomore campaign. She did have 18 goals, I think 11 assists. So for her, the challenge is to see if she can step up into more of a vocal leader role, and to bring others into the attack with her. So she's one of our front three. So her role really up there is to see how can she get everyone involved, and how can we find the best opportunities as a team to put the ball in the net as much as we can.
You look at the success of this program, and it's been admirable, because the work you put in with the girls, going the extra mile with them, but then you also have to go home and be a mom to two boys too.
Yeah.
Are you currently pushing them to soccer, and do you find yourself using some coaching techniques at home on them?
So we my husband and I actually talk about it some, and we do have them both in soccer, but I will tell you that right now they like to fish and they like to ride dirt bikes. So we want them to participate in sports as much as they enjoy it, and that's what I see even as a coach. You want the kids to be out there for the right reasons. You want them to be out there because they are enjoying being out there, that they love the game. So for us, we've always said that we weren't going to really push our kids into any direction, but to more or less follow their lead in what they are interested in and what they are passionate about.
So what you're saying is you need to push the West Branch Athletic Department into getting varsity fishing added to.
Yes, yeah, fishing would be great. Fishing and dirt bike riding, motocross.
One of the things that is also about this team is the district you're in. It's a hard Division II district. I think it's proven itself the last 2 years. What do you think you guys can do to get a little bit more prepared and a little bit more ready for the district when it comes around and all these tough teams that you're going to find yourself having to compete through to get a district championship?
Yeah, I know with the super district. And I think, again, it comes down to our mental preparation and our again, self-confidence and our belief in ourselves to be able to play. We've got some real strong players right in our central area with, like I said, Alexis Gregory. She's a great leader for us. She's one of our center backs, and Sam Conable, again, center back, also very strong. Those girls are phenomenal soccer players, and Bree Thomas sitting back there in the midfield for us. She has, again, really impressed me with her work ethic and leadership. I feel like having those three in the middle, they are tough soccer players, and we would lean on them, when we come up into these games, to have that confidence, to have that leadership and that vocal support of everyone, to keep everyone organized, to get through and succeed in those tough spots. This summer we did a lot of things. We went to a Kent State team camp, and we saw some great teams there. We played in the Kenston Showcase, and we had a couple of nice half games at Kenston as well that I think really showed us that we should be able to play with anyone in our super district, and getting the girls to believe that, so that when they step on the field, they have that confidence.
Looking at this season too, it looks to be another challenge, but it should be fun too to see you guys compete in this as well. I want to know, how deep is this love for the West Branch program, being playing here, and then also after relocating to still making the drive to West Branch?
No, for sure. Like I really love working with the girls at West Branch, and they hold a special spot in my heart. Like you said, that I come back and forth from here up northwest of Fairlawn, down to West Branch and work with them. And it's nothing except for the love of the game of soccer and the enjoyment that I get with working with these ladies. West Branch for me, that's where I learned soccer. That's where my mom and dad are still at. So again, it holds a special spot in my heart. We have a great supportive fan base. Our parents are wonderful. They take care of the girls. They feed them. They show up to home games, away games. We have just a tremendous support for our girls program here at West Branch, and it's a real fun place to be with regards to girls soccer.
Coach, before we let you go, I want to give you the chance to shine a light on your assistants and some of the other people that really go into making this West Branch program what it is, because we know the head coaches don't do it by themselves.
No, for sure not. So Zach Dean, he is in his 6th year here. This will be his 3rd year with the girls program. He was 3 years with the boys program before, and he has been extremely instrumental in helping with everything A to Z. He's really stepped up a lot this year, and he's helping me with a lot of the administrative tasks and getting more and more hands-on with leading the girls in their sessions. So Zach's a great asset to the West Branch community and the West Branch soccer teams for sure. Super committed. And then we also added Coach Daly. So Coach Molly Daly joined us this year. She, in her own right, is a great soccer player. She grew up in Hudson and was part of a state championship team there. She played goalkeeper at the University of Toledo, and she is now living in the West Branch district. So she is an assistant with us at the high school program, but she's leading our middle school girls. So she's really stepped in and helped us where we needed help to, for that continuity of the program. I think she has close to 30 middle school girls that she's working with right now. And she's there for us on a daily basis at the high school program too. And then I guess Mr. Helm, our AD, he's always a great supporter of us. And then I would also say, like, our trainer, Tyler Kennedy, we couldn't do it without TK. So between all of us, we're really just there to support the girls and help them achieve their best.
Coach, thank you so much for taking the time to join us today and giving us a solid preview of West Branch girls soccer. We know that we will enjoy continuing our coverage of you throughout the season. We wish you the best of luck, and hopefully a little bit into the season we can get you on to talk about some more of your success too.
Oh, well, that sounds great. Thank you so much for having me.
That was Cheryl Fico, the head coach of the West Branch girls soccer team, joining us live on Running Point, brought to you by Greenwood Chevrolet in Austintown. Not the end of the soccer coaches for the day. So if you're a big soccer fan of the area, stay around, because we have Matt Britton, the head coach of the boys soccer team over at Mooney, coming on at 12:30. And then at 1 o'clock, we're going to be joined by Mike Bailey, the head coach of the Canfield boys soccer team as well. So it's a Soccer Monday on Running Point, brought to you by Greenwood Chevrolet in Austintown.
No doubt. It's going to be a fun one too, and Cheryl Fico only just gets us kicked off here in this one.
Nice pun. Kicked off. I like it. When you look at soccer, and these are going to be some of the more successful coaches in the area too coming on. With you open up with Cheryl Fico, who has won an EBC championship every year she's been at the helm, and the West Branch Warriors are 8th straight, going for their 9th. And then you look at Matt Britton, who is a very successful Mooney boys soccer team, been to state before. And then you have Mike Bailey and what he was able to do last year, not just with Salem's boys team, but also Salem's girls team. So it's going to be 3 coaches that aren't just great soccer coaches, but also extremely successful soccer coaches in the area as well.
Yeah, no doubt. And I mean, this is this Mooney team that we're going to be able to talk to too. Coach Britton was this. This is the same Mooney team that took you.
We have an update directly from YSN, so I'm guessing DJ made this comment. Update now, football for Thursday. United and Waterloo are now Friday instead of Thursday, so we're just going to bump that game up one day. So, breaking news.
Yep, and looking at it too, when I was talking about Mooney soccer too, you're looking at it. This is the team that forced West Branch, talking about Cheryl Fico, forced Crestview into an overtime game last year too. I mean, Crestview barely got out of that one 3-2, but Mooney gave them all that they could muster too. And I mean, this is one where Mooney's hungry coming into the season.
And then we all know what Crestview went on to do after that. So. You go into overtime with the team that went all the way to the state championship game. That's a pretty solid achievement there. And Matt Britton's going to help us talk about the Cardinals and what their season will look like in 2022. Ty, we did have some soccer scores over the weekend. Soccer got kicked off on Friday, and we saw teams get their win. All the YSN 3 out of 4, of the YSN teams got a win. We'll start with the Boardman girls, who did fall, unfortunately, to Green 2-0 to open the season. So they are looking to bounce back on Saturday, August 20th. They'll return home to host Hoover. So girls soccer off to a 0-1 start, but it's a Boardman girls soccer team that we think is going to be very good, tough schedule to go with it. So we go from that to the Poland boys. They got a big win to kick off the campaign. They got the 3-0 win over Ursuline, and they had goals scored from Andrew Slavin, Matt Matiste, and Noah Huda all scored goals. Assists were thrown in by Derek Thomas, who I love that name.
I'm sure you do.
Hopefully he wears the number 58. Hats off to Derek. He got an assist along with Aiden Davis and Michael Daly, both getting assists for Poland as well. Aiden Davis got an assist. Michael Daly. Jeez. Anthony, slow down. Michael Daly got 7 saves in the goal for Poland. They will hit the road tomorrow to meet up with Howland. And speaking of that Howland team, they also got a win over the weekend. They beat Crestview in a very decisive 8-0 victory, and that's a Crestview team. Went all the way to state last year, and Howland said, I'm going to show you my teeth a little bit. I'm going to make sure everyone knows Howland is still a powerhouse in the area. 8-0 win. Jed Hua got the offense started just a minute in the game, set the tone for the Tigers, and their offense would prove to be a tough thing to stop for Crestview. Once again, we just said that Howland will return to action tomorrow or Tuesday, whatever you want to say, Tuesday, at home against Poland at 7 o'clock. We got some other girls soccer scores as well. Ursuline girls, they got the win over the weekend, 2-0 over Perry. That's Perry Pirates, not Massillon, Perry Panthers. The goals for the Irish were scored by Olivia Pahala and Lily Scott. So they won 2-0, and Ursuline will return to action on Saturday, August 20th, and they host Canfield. So those are some soccer scores early in the season that came through over the weekend as soccer has officially started. And they'll have some other games throughout the week. And then, of course, Thursday is when football kicks off. Now 9 games on Thursday instead of 10, with United and Waterloo getting pushed to Friday. And then, 9 and now 12, 13. A lot of games on Friday. Numbers, we'll have them all on our live games page. But a lot of games on Thursday and Friday, and then Saturday is the start of volleyball. So, like we said at the top of the show, this is the week when it all starts rolling downhill.
Yeah, absolutely. It should be fun and exciting going into the season.
Anticipation, it's making me wait. What do you think these last 3 days are going to be like, though? Like, these are like, get us to Thursday. It's almost like waiting for Christmas, right? Like, these last 3 days are going to go so slow.
Yeah, I know. I mean, but once this weekend kicks off, it's going to be full force, and I mean, it's not going to stop for quite some time with high school sports. So we're about to get into all the madness here real shortly.
We'll try to speed things up as we continue to preview some of the fall sports seasons as we go along. Like we said, Matt Britton will come on at 12:30. Mike Bailey will come on today at 1 o'clock. We also have plenty of coaches coming on tomorrow as well. We're going to take our first break of the day on Running Point. When we come back, we'll be ready for Matt Britton, the head coach of Mooney Boys Soccer on Running Point, brought to you by Greenwood Chevrolet in Austintown.
21 News delivers the news as it happens, using the latest technology from where it happens.
Live here outside of the Holy Cross.
On air, online, Wednesday afternoon weather update,
Very dangerous.
and on the 21 News social media platforms.
I'm on the road right now.
21 News, the Valley's only locally owned source for trusted news since 1953.
As fine as the eye can see, the finest hardwoods from the finest trees. Made for your home and within your means, Baird Brothers will help fulfill your dreams. Let life and light come shining through in quiet morns. And heavy traffic, too. Find your easy-to-afford fine hardwood floors and doors and more at BairdBrothers.com.
Hi, this is Tommy Clem, owner of WRS Insurance Solutions.
WRS Insurance Solutions is a local independent agency that specializes in life, Medicare, long-term care, and disability products. Call us at 330-953-3722 or visit us at wrsinsuranceSolutions.com to learn more.
Good luck to all the student athletes in the Valley.
For a great vehicle and a great experience, come to Boardman Mitsubishi today. As always, our full lineup of Mitsubishi models comes with a standard 10-year, 100,000-mile powertrain warranty. Boardman Mitsubishi, your hometown Mitsubishi dealer since 1999.
But now you can see every school, to the smallest school, to the intermediate schools, to the schools in the outlying areas. It gives you coverage that you could just never get to before. It's something that's great to experience, and it's opened up a whole new wave of sports viewership. The possibilities are endless here at YSN. Push the envelope every day. Try something new. If it works, great. If it doesn't, well, let's try another angle, and we just keep moving forward. My name is Mike Ackelson, and my sports network is your sports network.
Reliability, innovation, scale. These three values are those we look forward to in our business and in our team. If you're ready for a reliable employer who looks constantly to think outside the box in big ways, we're ready for you. Apply now. Help us push the envelope and deliver success. Envelope 1. Take that one extra step.
Before the lights come on, before the workday begins, before a long day is ended, or it's time to have fun. It all starts with the people at Joe Dickey Electric. From replacing a light fixture in your home to building a substation for your business, no job is too big or too small. The people of Joe Dickey Electric power them all. Joe Dickey Electric, over 60 years of powering the Mahoning Valley.
You're not waiting to see what the world has in store for you. It's more about what you have in store for the world. All you need is the opportunity. All you need are the resources of a large university and the advantages of a personalized academic setting where you can experience new worlds in the arts and sciences, business, and education and make them your own. We are where you shape your future. We are Youngstown State University and proud.
WRS Wealth Advisors, the area's premier wealth and retirement specialists. Located on South Avenue in Boardman.
And welcome back to Running Point on ysnlive.com, brought to you by Greenwood Chevrolet in Austin County. Anthony Hartwig alongside Ty Bartell. We're going to continue our Soccer Monday by going into Coach Mike Britton, the head coach, Matt Britton, the head coach of Cardinal Mooney Boys Soccer. Coach, thank you so much for taking the time to join us today.
Oh, no, thank you for having me out.
Coach, another year, another season at the helm too. I'm a guess first and foremost. What I'm curious too, how shortly after that game with Crestview did you start thinking about this season? And with that, let's meet the team for this edition of the Cardinals.
I mean, I started planning the season the moment after that game ended because that left a real sour taste in the mouth. That's not how we planned last season end. But you got to give credit to Crestview that at the end of the day, they deserved the win. We didn't do what we had to do, so I got with the juniors right after that, and we started to prepare for this season.
When you were able to see what Crestview went on to do after that, did it make it easier or harder to swallow?
I mean, a little bit of both. It's always comforting that the team that knocked us out went all the way to the final, but at the same time, there's no reason why the team last year shouldn't have played in back-to-back state championship games. So yes, it was both easy and hard to swallow at the same time, but we can hold our head up high and say we went out to the state finalists. So that was one of the lone bright spots of last season.
You look at this team though. What are some of the things you were focusing on in the offseason once you got these boys back with the practice? What were some things you wanted to sharpen up on before the start of the season?
Definitely the mentality. Definitely the team mentality. I honestly don't know what it was with last year's team, but there was this negative vibe that filtered in through the team, and the boys had this I almost want to say had this entitled attitude to them that hey, we were state finalists last year. Things are just going to be given to us. We don't have to work as hard as we did the previous years, and we went right to work at cutting that attitude out. That's the biggest thing. We went back to our workman attitude and got rid of that just entitledness.
When you look inside this locker room, who are going to be some of the players that you really lean on to be vocal and emotional leaders for your team this year?
Definitely, we have to look at our three senior captains. Dante DiGenova, center back, will probably be the heart and soul of the team. I mean, he's coming off a season where he was all region. I think he was one of 6 people in the area to get that honor. So we definitely have to lean on him. Along with him in the middle is Patrick D'Ambrosio, Antonio Delicio. We'll have a transfer from Ursuline who only played 8 games last year, Alex LaPlante, who will expect big things from him going forward. Mason Janis a junior stepping up. Nick Pregabon should be looking in good this year. Same with Dominic Graziano.
I think you hinted at last year that watch out for this year's upcoming schedule because it was going to be a gauntlet. And boy, oh boy, I'm looking at it. I mean, within the first couple of weeks, you got Crestview, you got Howland, Cuyahoga Falls, Hoban. I mean, looking at this schedule and being the coach too, what are the challenges first and foremost, knowing that you are going to play one of the toughest schedules in the area? But I mean, I got to imagine too that you also are excited for this, for the boys to have this opportunity.
I want to play the hardest schedule. I mean, that's one of the things I sit down with my athletic director. I want to play the best teams that we can play because that prepares us. Because soccer is different from a lot of other sports, especially football, because everyone makes the playoffs at the end of the season. So that's where we want to prepare. So we have to play the best teams that we can to prepare us for that. So that's why out of the gate we start with Akron Hoban. I think we play Hoban, Crestview, JFK, and then it's I believe CBCA. So 2 of our first 4 games are against a top Division II teams, and then I think we followed up with Howland.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but this is the 4th year under the helm of Mooney, correct?
That is correct. Yes, this is my 4th year.
So this is your year where you get to see the kids that you had as freshmen be seniors now.
Absolutely, yeah. I get to see the growth and see if I actually did a good job with them or not.
So this is the first time you really get to look at the program as a big picture and say, how much impact have I had on a kid from freshman to senior year? When you look at the growth of not just your seniors, but your upperclassmen and the impact that you think you've had on them throughout the program, what kind of things stand out to you as the things that they've grown in since they've started with you?
I mean, a lot of what I look at for the impact, it's not even on the field. We look at the leadership. I look at the accountability. I look, are they handling their schoolwork? I mean, we look at just the responsibility of it all because I put a lot on their shoulders. I don't baby them. I don't take questions from mom and dad, or I don't let mom and dad speak for them. I always have the boys speak to me. So a lot of what I look at, it's all the off the field. It's are we turning these young boys, are we preparing them to be men? And because how many of them are going to go be professional athletes? Not many. So they have to be prepared for the real world.
Follow up, when we talk to those kids that graduate from your program, and if we were to ask them what they took away from being coached by you and what they took away from your program, what would you hope their answer would be?
Hopefully it would just be, some accountability. They're able to be responsible and, hold themselves accountable for what they were supposed to do.
In what ways have you grown in these 4 years as a coach is what I'm curious about.
I think I've mellowed. I think I've mellowed as a coach. I'm not I can't go out and run with the boys like I used to back in my Maplewood days. I can't get out and play with them as much. The legs are a little tired every now and then. But no, I do think I've mellowed. I've learned to become a better coach, I want to say. In some ways, like I've learned to vocalize it a lot better than I have in the past.
One of the staples of this team has always been their defense, and you've had a couple of defenders that have won first team all district in the last couple of years. How much of a focus do you guys put on the defense of your scheme, and how much do you think it's going to be a factor this year?
It's going to be a huge factor, but the defense isn't just our four defenders in the back and our goalkeeper. Our defense starts from the forward. That's our first defender, and we press the ball throughout. So no matter where we are, the closest person to the ball always steps to the ball. So and that goes back to the responsibility and the accountability I hold. When you step to the ball, you have to either slow the ball down or we have to force them into situations the offense doesn't want to go in. So defense is always high on our priority.
What can Mooney fans expect the identity of this team to be if you could describe it this year?
I would love to say hardworking. I would love to say we're going to get back to that hardworking, attitude and just that. I don't want to say arrogance, but I want to say just that positive play, that took us to the 2020 state championship game. So I would love to say a positive, hardworking attitude.
All right, so want to get to know you a little bit off the field, off the coaching grind. What are some things that you like to do outside of the sport of soccer that keep you active and keep you having a good time?
Well, I mean, obviously my job at UPS keeps me very active. But outside of soccer, I mean, it's still all about soccer. I'm a massive Liverpool fan, so anytime they play, I'm always all over it. Any EPL game, I'm always watching it. Because actually, 3 o'clock, I get to watch Liverpool play Crystal Palace here coming up, so I'm pretty excited about that game.
Do you find yourself still learning about the game, watching the professionals?
Oh, absolutely.
Oh, man,
absolutely.
What do you think the last time that you've watched one of those games and took like a note and said, that's something I can use?
Anytime. I mean, you can always learn from anything, and that's, the open-minded attitude I like to have whenever I watch any game. It doesn't even have to be professional. It could be another high school game. It could be a college game. Or whatever I happen to be watching. You always want to watch it with an open mind and see what you can adapt to put into your team.
You have a great staff, and we're going to let you highlight them in a little bit. But what I want to know, if you could have anyone from the soccer world, anyone on your coaching staff, who would you pick?
I mean, obviously, it's got to be Jurgen Klopp, Liverpool's head coach. I mean, to me, he's the best coach in the world. I mean, I know everyone wants to argue that Pep Guardiola is, but you look at the development that the players have under Jurgen Klopp. I mean, he buys average players and makes them world class.
How did you become such a big Liverpool fan? Like, how did you fall into that?
I got into soccer, around 04, 05, and I remember watching the Champions League on ESPN, and they always had Liverpool on, and that's just how. And Steven Gerrard at that time was my favorite player. And then they purchased a player from Spain named Fernando Torres, who was my favorite player, still is my favorite player. And that's how I just became a massive Liverpool fan.
Who has influenced you the most as a coach in your coaching style?
Probably Jurgen Klopp, to be honest. Even when he was at Dortmund. I mean, just how he plays, the passion that he coaches with. You see him on the sideline. It's just, and just the, almost the father-like figure he is to the players. He'll always go give him a big hug, put his arm around him, even when, mistakes happen. He's just always, he's just such a positive influence.
I'm sure coaching takes a lot of energy out of you. What do you like to put in your stomach after a game? What's your favorite post-game meal?
You know what? I don't know. Usually it depends on the game. Sometimes I really don't eat after because, I go right back thinking of what we could have done, especially if it's a loss or, an unfavorable outcome. It's always, I'd go right to the drawing board right after that. Normally, if we can, I'm looking maybe some pizza, burger.
What's your favorite memory off the field with the boys that you've been able to coach? Bus rides, practice, things like that.
A lot of it is the practice, just the family environment that we have. I think I had a player 2 years ago that described the team as a brotherhood, and it's just that the players look at it at that. We're always goofing around on the bus, and not on the bus, but we goof around in practice. I let them have their time, so it's just a good time.
Run us through a typical Cardinal Mooney boys soccer practice. What does your practices look like?
Usually I usually have it structured before we get there. Boys get there, stretch, warm up on their own. They're supposed to be there by 6, stretched and ready to go. Then we'll break into a little technical warm up, and then we'll break into the tactical aspects of what we're looking for in that day. And then we'll usually finish with a full-sided game emphasizing what we worked on.
You look at this too, and you've been a fan for such a long time. Coach yourself in a sense. Then what's some advice and some tips of advice you'd give yourself as a player, knowing what you know now?
Knowing what I know now, what advice would I give as a player? Let's see. I would say, looking back to my days as a player, I was a little hot-headed. So I would just say, try to mellow that down a little bit. And also not just to rush things, just, let it come to you, feel the game, get a feel for the game. It doesn't have to be 100 miles an hour forward every time, build into it and just, be patient. A lot of it would be just preach the patience. And a lot of that is the same message that the Cardinal Mooney boys get every day.
Did that hothead ever get you carded as a player?
Just yellow cards.
Just yellow cards. That's good. Don't want any of those red ones.
No, we don't want those ones.
No, before we let you go, I want to give you a chance to give a shout out to your coaching staff, the people that are behind you, and the people that make this Cardinal Mooney program what it is, because we know that you can't do it by yourself.
Oh, no, absolutely. I can never do it by myself. I have a great assistant in Michael Morelli, who actually was my high school coach when I was in high school at Liberty. I brought him along because he's someone that I trust 100%. And that I'll give that to any young coach out there. You want an assistant coach that you trust 100%, that you can bounce any idea off them, and they're not just going to tell you what you want to hear, but they're actually going to give you constructive feedback. So I couldn't do what I do without Coach Mike. He's a big influence with everything I do. And then also, obviously couldn't do what I do without the players. Just, they show up, work hard every day. And then a big shout out has to go to the parents. This is one of the best groups of parents I've ever been involved with. They're so supportive of anything, whether it's putting on team dinners, team trips. They're always looking for what they can do to support the team. So just the support here is amazing.
Coach, we want to thank you so much for your time. And of course, we wish you the best of luck for this upcoming season. It's going to be a fun schedule to watch. And we hope we get a chance to talk to you again real soon.
All right, thank you guys for having me on, and I hope it's as fun as everyone's expecting it to be.
Coach Matt Britton, the head coach of the Cardinal Mooney boys soccer program, joining us live on Running Point. We definitely thank him for his time. And wow, I think the first thing that pops out of Mooney, which pops out every year, almost every sport, pretty much, the schedule. Geez.
It's a monster schedule, and it's always a great time talking with Coach Britton too, because I love his philosophy and his thoughts for the game too. And being a younger coach, being such a student of the game, and still learning, but having just so much knowledge, and going as far as just being a Liverpool fan for as long as he is. He's been a player, he's been a fan. It's a real student of the game, and how can you not buy into a program when you got someone that can bring that kind of knowledge of the sport to you?
He had a couple of the names that will pop up on our schedule. I want to go through the whole Cardinal Mooney soccer schedule to give everyone kind of an idea of what they're in for. They open the season against Hoban, and that'll be on the 23rd. And then they play Crestview the day after.
I was going to say the next day. Just go right into Crestview.
Okay, JFK, and then CVCA, then Howland, Warren Harding, and then they play
not a bad soccer team at all. Harding's never a bad soccer team.
Ottawa Hills. If you don't know, very good soccer team.
Toledo area, I believe.
Canton Central Catholic.
Yeah.
Then they play Kidron, CCHS out of Kidron. Back to Canton Central Catholic again, a home game, home and home. They play them on Thursday the 22nd, and they play them on Saturday the 24th. They'll play Canfield. They'll play Berlin Highland.
Well, there you go. I mean, please.
Boardman, Liberty, Fitch, Ursuline. They close out the season with Western Reserve Academy.
It's a who's who, and I mean they utilize, I believe, if I'm not mistaken, I think that is all 16 games. That is 16 games, I believe, utilized to the full 17 games, whatever 17 that you could utilize. Yeah, they utilize the full schedule. And I mean, it's a who's who of teams there. And I mean, you face some of the really good local teams, and you're bringing in some really good out of town teams. You're also making some treks to some out of town teams as well.
This is a Division I type schedule with a Division III team. Like, let's just be real. I mean, you look at these teams; it's a massive schedule. So when they go in that D3 tournament, that's why they're so good. I mean, they went to overtime against a team that went all the way to state last year for a reason, because they are so prepared for the season. You look at their record last year; was not eye-popping. They were 8-5-6 last year, but it was against the brutal schedule.
It was a brutal schedule, and you know what? The way they went out last year, and how Coach described it too, that kind of feeling of entitlement, and it can happen with it can happen with the best of us too, even players wise. When you get a taste of that state championship and you get there after a grind, you feel like you can just get back there too, and realizing to get back to that stage is just as hard, if not maybe even harder, to get back to the stage a second time after you've already been there. And I think that's what some of the boys needed as a wake-up call too, is you get out before you get there. And then it's like, okay, we need to make sure we kick it into gear every day. All those practices mean something. Every minute in the game means something. You can't take a possession off.
That's why I never consider it a foregone conclusion that a team will be just as good just because they went that far and they return everybody. We've seen that happen. We've seen teams return everybody and get right back to that stage. But we've also seen the polar opposite, where they return everybody and it just doesn't work out. They don't get out of districts or whatever it may be. And sometimes it's because they don't understand that they have to, put the same amount of work and they did to get there the first time. It's not like, hey, we went to state. Okay, here's a trip to the state tournament, right? Here's a ticket for it. You get to go right to state because you went there last year. It doesn't work like that.
No, I mean, you gotta put in the work, and I mean, it's tough to make that run. And I mean, once you get into those regionals, it's the best of the best. It's the who's who. Anybody can slip up and beat you at any given time at that point. Then
I think the thing that's hardest for these teams to get after they make a state tournament run is that next year, everybody knows your name and everybody wants to gun for you. Even in your region, like, everyone gets it. Like, okay, this is a team that went to state. This is a legitimate program. We want you. We want that target. The target isn't just in your league or in your little county. The target just became in your super district, in your region, and in the state. You are now a known program, and those eyes are fixated squarely on you. We want that team. So your target is on the back, not just for your county, your conference. It is for your super district, where sometimes it's teams that are way far away from you with the super district. You could have a Massillon team that knows exactly who you are, and we want to beat this team in the tournament this year. So it's hard enough to know that the target's on your back for your conference in your little area, but talk about the target being on your back for the region and the target being on your back in the whole state. That's a different story.
Yeah, no doubt. And I mean, you look at the target that's on Mooney's back. It's going to be on all their athletic programs just because of the name they've built through success that they've had in season past.
You could argue Mooney and Ursuline are probably the most well-known high schools outside.
In the Youngstown area, yeah.
You go outside of the Northeast Ohio, and you ask anyone, you're probably going to get more people that know who Youngstown Mooney is and who Youngstown Ursuline are than any other team. One, because they've had alumni that have been successful in life that have grown out of the area, and because they have really strong traditions of really good athletic programs throughout all athletics, not just football.
Yeah, absolutely. Have you seen their gym? There's plenty of banners in there.
Going to Ursuline's gym, and I'm thinking to myself, like, if they have another run where they're really good again, where are they going to put these? I think
Ursuline and Mooney's gym, yeah. I mean, Mooney and Ursuline's gym are literally, they look the same as far as banners. It's just a different color scheme.
There's not a ton of room. There's not a ton of room in that gym for more. Like, they're going to start to have to hang stuff from the rafters.
It's just a lot of success that goes through there, and you got to uphold that success too. And it's a challenge because, like you said, everyone's gunning for you.
And
but the benefit that Mooney has is they're not gonna see. There's nothing that they're not gonna see by the time they get to that Division III tournament. There's nothing that they're not going to be prepared for.
I do not want to be the guy that has to hang stuff from the rafters in the gym because it's a lot different than putting stuff on the wall. Because you have to get just as high. But you think about it, you're on a ladder and you're at the wall, you fall forward, you just you catch yourself. You're up there and you're just completely all alone. You lose your balance up in the rafters. Game over. No, not for me. Not for me.
I don't think we would have you try to trek up any ladders, Anthony. I think that's not your forte, and that's fine.
You don't buy my ladder skills?
I don't think you could do the ladders, Anthony.
I'd get up like
not that I don't think you can. I don't want you to attempt.
I'd get up 2 steps. I'd get up 2 steps and be like, nah. It's actually like when I would do stairs. You don't think about it when you're able to do it so easily, but it is like completely different going upstairs than down. You lose completely different muscles. It's so much harder for me to go down a flight of stairs than up. And I think it's something that people don't think about. Like, hey, we how dramatically different it is to go down compared to up, and how many like different muscles you use for each. But man, I struggle going down stairs. I can get up a flight of stairs, but getting down a flight of stairs, it's like,
well, yeah. I mean, you could climb a flight of stairs pretty fast. You ever try going down them quick? It gets pretty hazy. Like you try to fly down flights of stairs.
Brutal.
You need to make sure you got a hand on the rail, right?
That is your anatomy lesson of the day, knowing that you use different muscles to go up and down stairs. Check mark. You didn't know this was educational programming as well.
I'm one of those skip every other step type person when I climb stairs. I know there's other people out there that are like that.
Man.
I can't do it going downstairs though. Obviously, that's the most dangerous, trying to skip steps going downstairs.
There's people that like trying to jump and trying to catch the last step when they're going down. Jump from the top, trying to catch.
That's wild. I could just see me cracking an ankle. It's not a good move. It's not a good move.
Oh man, and then you can just get a skateboard and grind down the railing.
Yeah, there you go.
I can see tie on a skateboard. That'd be fun.
We're not done with Cardinal soccer programs though today, and we still got to get into one more.
No, we have Mike Bailey, the head coach of the Canfield boys soccer team, coming on at 1:00, which is very, very soon. We don't want to take away from how much we like Coach Bailey. I mean, it's one of our favorite interviews where we're so excited. And hopefully he brings some more nuggets, because last year we used Stay Even all year. Like we banked on it. So hopefully he brings us something else that we can use all this year.
I mean, maybe. I still like Stay Even too, and I'm excited.
But you got to freshen it up a little bit, right? You got to get a new Mike Bailey quote that we can use.
I'm excited for this upcoming season just because it's Mike Bailey, but it's a different program, but still a prestigious program in the Canfield Cardinals too. And it's one that is like I said, another one, no stranger to success. Canfield Cardinals boys soccer program has been there, done that, has had plenty winning seasons too. I think only 2 losing seasons in the last 10 years.
Look, let's be like what Mike Bailey did last year. I would have said any program that wants to coach and Mike Bailey wants to go there, yeah, cool. You're good.
Give him a job anywhere he wants because he took 2 programs and made them successful.
Like coaching 2 at once it never been done. He was just kind of doing it on the fly. He's like, I don't know necessarily what to do. There's no blueprint for coaching 2 teams at once, but hey, I'm just going to do it. And he did it pretty successfully. That Salem girls team especially was historic.
Yeah, and it was a great team too, and I mean they definitely have the pieces in place too. Salem does to make another great run, but now Mike Bailey going to be able to bring his knowledge to Canfield, and that's going to be exciting to see what he's able to do with this Cardinals program now.
You know, he coached a Salem girls team all the way to a 2-loss record, and then before that, he was the coach at South Range. He took them to a state championship game. Now he's at Canfield. Like everywhere he goes, it's kind of success hits the ground. So
his resume speaks for itself, folks. Let's just say that.
You think maybe Canfield should be one of those teams you're talking about automatically almost because it's Mike Bailey at the top.
Canfield too. I mean, Mike Bailey is going to have all the toys in the toy chest now, right? Because Canfield's a program that just notoriously has always brought in good soccer talent. There's just the youth leagues that are there. I mean, the elementaries feed the middle school that feed the high school. And I mean, there's good soccer talent that's always been in Canfield. So Mike Bailey's going to have a very good talent pool to select from to, again, maybe add another winning season to the belt of this Cardinals team.
And then he looks across from him on the other side of the soccer for Canfield. And you look at Coach Simone, he's been there for 20 plus years on the girls' side. So,
and they're no strangers to success. So, I mean, Canfield soccer lives pretty well.
Just like 10 straight AAC championships, no big deal.
And like I said, only 2 seasons where Canfield was under 500 in the last 10 plus years. I think 11 seasons, to be honest. Only 2 seasons in the last 11 where Canfield has been, the boys soccer team's been under 500. There's been a lot of success in that boys program.
So like you said, he's got all the toys in the toy chest. It's going to be a fun time. We're going to talk to him next. We're going to take a break, and up next will be Coach Mike Bailey of the Canfield boys soccer team on Running Point, brought to you by Greenwood Chevrolet in Austintown.
Jimmy Sutton here, director of Isle, Purple Cat, and Golden String. We are happy to support YSN and 2 of my favorite people, Scotty Mincher and Super Dave O'Malley. We are an agency that provides services for adults with disabilities. We infuse humor, passion, and joy into their lives. If you know of any folks with disabilities that need our assistance, please contact us.
How lucky are we to have not 1, but 2 18-hole Donald Ross Championship golf courses right here in our backyards. Mill Creek Golf Course was selected by Golf Week as one of America's 30 best municipal courses, continuing to challenge golfers of all levels and featuring PGA professionals, golf instruction, a players rewards club, kids programs, and a pro shop and grill room for a memorable golf experience. Call or click to schedule your tee time at Mill Creek Golf Course.
At Greenwood Chevrolet, we offer a worry-free experience for all our customers. From sales to financing and even service, we'll help build your perfect vehicle
and lock in your trade value
while your vehicle is being built.
No worries.
We guarantee financing,
regardless of your situation or credit history.
No worries. And when your vehicle needs service,
our award-winning team will get you back on the road.
No worries.
That's what going the extra mile means. Only at Greenwood Chevrolet.
Now is the time to think about your future, where you want to go, what you want to be. Your future can start now at Kent State Salem or Kent State East Liverpool. We have programs that will open doors and provide opportunities for you to pursue your passion. We are affordable. We are close. You call it hometown. We call it Kent State University. Learn more at www.kent.edu/Columbiana. You belong here.
Welcome back to Running Point on ysnlive.com, brought to you by Greenwood Chevrolet in Austintown. Anthony Hartwig, joined by Ty Bartell, like always. And we are going to be joined now by one of our favorites, and Mike Bailey. He's Been a long time, Coach, and we appreciate the time and the opportunity to hop on Running Point today and talk a little bit about your new home in Canfield soccer.
Yeah, always great to be on. Good to see you guys. Thanks for having me.
Coach, I mean, like I was talking with Anthony about before you came on, this is a Canfield program that's not a stranger to success. They've had, I believe, 9 winning seasons in the last 11, so they've been there. They've done that. What do you think you can offer and bring to this program? And with saying that, too, why don't we get a chance to meet the team this year?
Sure. So, pure excitement for me. This is a great group of kids. When I took over in February and the first time I got to watch the boys play together, I knew we had some really, really solid pieces and could put together a nice season. Asking them to play very differently than what they have in the past, where we're going to possess the ball a little bit more. We're going to work it around the field a little bit more and create some openings to let our talent on the attacking side of the ball really, really focus and flourish there. As far as like a preview for the team, we've got some really, really good players, and I'm excited for them. They're going to have some great years. Pretty much our starting lineup, we're not fully set there. And it's like I always tell my boys, we are constantly, every position is always open. Doesn't matter what time of year it is. If you perform and you prove that you're the best to play that position, I'm going to put that best 11 out on that field. Starting up top this year, well, let me start with our captains, basically. We've got 4 captains, all player coach vote here. Center defensive mid, center midfielder Ben Kovac, left back Landon Palazzi, goalkeeper Ali Shalash, and Ethan Malachek, Jr. All 4 of those guys have been, since I took over, they've been guys that I've counted on, and I was happy to see them voted captain. There's some other guys that absolutely could have been voted captain. I would have been through the roof excited about as well. But we just got a really great group of boys that are working hard. And it's top to bottom. It doesn't matter if you're the most talented or you're one of the guys that's really developing at the moment. Everybody's busting their butt at training every day and trying to get better. And I'm very demanding, just pushing them. And they're taking it all in and just being great about me demanding from them, but also realizing that it's coming from a place of love and a place of care and a place where I want us as a program to really succeed, because I feel we have the talent to have a real strong season. We've got a brutal schedule that's in there as well, but that's the fun of it. I'll take a game where it's 2-1 either way over winning 6-7-0 against some of these games, because you don't get much out of that. But when you're in a battle, whether you win that battle or you lose that battle, you take something from it, and it's a great thing for us, and I'm excited to showcase this team and get started on Saturday here.
Coach, when this job opened up, what were some of the things that made you just say, I have to take this opportunity? I have to make sure that, I put my hat in the ring for this opportunity to coach this team?
Well, it was a little bit of a different scenario. I wasn't looking to leave Salem where I was last year. I was proud of what we were building there, and there was a great group of players and coaches and parents and administrators. And Canfield kind of reached out to me to see if I would have an interest. And, I saw it as a challenge for myself. The All-American Conference is probably the best conference in our area, and it's loaded with other great coaches. And I saw it as an opportunity to really test myself, to go up against, some of the best in our area, twice a year, and just really put forth my knowledge and the way that I do things and see how it stacks up against some of the best. Canfield's a top-notch, as somebody who's a first year there, whenever you heard you were playing Canfield, you knew you were in for a battle. You were going to go, and it was going to be a team that played really hard and played the game really well. And their players always have been talented. And it was something that really intrigued me. And when they reached out, and I talked to, Travis Ziegler, who was one of the head coaches with me last year for Salem, talked to my father and some other people that I really, really trust, and thought long and thought hard about it, and ultimately decided, when they offered me the job, that this was the right move for me to make.
Last year at Salem, you were doing something that really there was no blueprint for, coaching 2 teams at once, and you did a very good job at that. How much did you learn from that experience that you take into now, this new challenge? I mean, that had to be something that you probably took a lot away from.
There was a ton that took away from it. And it wasn't all me last year. There was also Travis Ziegler and Kent Paulini were the other head coaches. We had like kind of that tri-head coaching system going. But it was definitely a learning experience, and there were some things in there that were fantastic and unexpected. And then, of course, there's some road bumps along the way, just like there is whether you're coaching one team or two teams or whatever it may be. But there was a lot learned there. More so, one of the things I think that lacked for us last year was our ability to really have film and break it down. Like, don't get me wrong, we have film, we broke it down and whatnot, but we didn't have the film sessions like we wanted to, I think. And we were just so busy. And that was one of the hardest things for us. It was just constantly on the go. And don't get me wrong, I'll cherish last year forever. Being able to do that and do it with Travis and just have a really great experience on both the boys' side and the girls' side. Both of those programs are going to have really great seasons this year as well. I'm excited for them. We actually, on the boys' side, we just scrimmaged Salem. I think it was last weekend. Yeah, last weekend on the 6th. We had a scrimmage with them, and it was a good, hard scrimmage. Both teams playing hard. And it was kind of like a proud moment for me. I got to see my former team playing at a high level, and I got to see my current team playing at a high level. It was a lot of fun.
Now, Coach, I mean, you brought on players last year too, and I mean, you've always been good at developing these leaders within these systems too, or at least showing them the paths too. How do you continue to develop all these players into leaders, but not run into a situation of having too many captains, not enough crew situation?
The biggest thing with high school kids, and this could go at youth level, college, et cetera, is you got to show them that you care about them, and you got to mean it. High school boys, they'll read right through you if you're not sincere. And, one of the biggest things I take in is like, I want them to know that I love and care about them, and I want success for us. And that's why I'm so demanding from you on the practice field. And we have, little rules and things like that pertain to the game. Like, for instance, the Canfield boys, we have a no swearing rule, which I'm sure most teams do, because you swear on the field, you're getting a yellow card. And you're punishing your own team because you have a lack of control. And I don't do well with that. So they've taken that in, and then, like no jewelry. Like they all have their jewelry on in practice. We've made that like, hey, boys, you can't wear it in a game. Take it off beforehand. You know what I mean? So just little things that we try to do to set ourselves up to be successful on match day. We try to, start that on the training field and then carry it on over. But it's just showing love. Showing them that you care about them, showing that you're interested in them, talking to them about things that have nothing to do with soccer, having little side conversations, letting them know that you do care. You're there for them, and I'll have your back in any scenario. You know what I mean? Even if we do the right thing or do the wrong thing, you do the wrong thing. There's a saying that I'm sure you've heard: play stupid games, win stupid prizes. And sometimes you gotta take that in, and it is what it is there. But it doesn't mean I'm not going to love you and care about you. I'm going to be right there. We'll talk about it. We'll get through it. But I still care about you.
And all that goes into instilling the culture that you want into this program. When you kind of hit the ground running with these boys and got to see them for the first time, got to kind of, get them into your philosophy for the first time, what were some of the most important things that you wanted to instill first and foremost about your culture and your coaching philosophy?
Just a team atmosphere. That's the most important thing. There is nothing that comes before the team. Nothing. The boys they want to win. They've all, like, I've had multiple kids tell me, when we were going through the process of figuring players out, where they played previously, where they might fit for us. And several of them, like, where'd you play last year? And they're like, oh, I played in the middle, but I'll sit on the bench if it means we're going to win. Those kind of things. Like, there's a lot of unselfish players here. And on top of it, we don't have a lot of varsity experience returning. We have 2 starters returning, and I want to say 5 or 6 lettermen at most, but they graduated a huge class of 12 guys last year. 9 of those guys were starters, had a phenomenal year. So when you've got 9 starters and 12 seniors in total, and they're taking up a lot of that playing time, what I see is I have a really, really hungry team right now. I have guys that have been waiting years to get their chance to play on a varsity field, and now here's their opportunity. And, I've got a lot of guys seizing that opportunity, and it's a lot of fun to watch develop. But as far as that culture goes, it's all about the team. It's all about us playing for the crest and playing for each other and making sure that on match day, it's 11 working as one and 36 in total working as one on the outside of it there.
And I mean, you look at this program too. Did you feel any pressures going into a program like this, knowing the success that has been established in the last 10 years and trying to uphold it?
I mean, there's always pressure with that, but I love that. Like, give me that pressure. I mean, when I took over at South Range, they were coming off of playing in the state final. You know what I mean? So there's no pressure there for me because I believe in what I do and I believe in the players that I have. It's so, you know, Canfield being a traditional powerhouse, like that excites me. Like I want to be a part of that. I'm not worried about not living up to standards or anything like that because I firmly believe that the boys that we have and the coaching staff that I have and the way that we run things, we will be successful much sooner than later.
And then you look at this Canfield community that you're now a part of and the coaches that you have around you, not just with the, you know, the soccer coach on the other end who's pretty successful in his own right, but also, you know, it seems like every athletic department has a coach that has been successful with their program. What's it kind of like to kind of meet all these new coaches and try to be a part of this new coaching community and this new athletics community that you have there at Canfield?
You know, it's awesome. Phil Simone, the girls' coach at Canfield, has been fantastic. You know, Phil coached the boys for a really, really, really long time and was both the boys and girls' coach. I want to say he did that for almost a decade where he coached both the boys and girls. But Phil has been a huge help for me. Nothing but positivity. He and I talk quite often, trying to get things, you know, figured out and just questions that I have that, you know, Phil, I believe he's at year 29 right now at Canfield. And so what better way to go to somebody for some advice than Phil Simone? And I'm not the type of coach that will, you know, I'm not afraid to ask somebody like, hey, what'd you see here? Things like that. And, you know, he's worrying about his own team and all that, but just being at Canfield has been a really great experience. Like we had a preseason tournament in Strongsville that a lot of teams go to from all over. There's teams from Indiana, Michigan, PA. It's a great little preseason tournament. And unfortunately, I was sick and one of my assistant coaches was sick and we were not able to be there. And my athletic director, Mike Cochran, stepped up and he took the boys and he was there on the sidelines with them for both the varsity and the JV all weekend long, Saturday and Sunday for 5 matches in total on each side. And so to have your athletic director go step up for you and be there for your team when you physically couldn't, it meant a lot to me as a coach. And I knew I was in the right place. I mean, it was without doubt, like as I was telling him what was going on and he's like, well, I'll take the boys. And there's not many athletic directors out there that would do that for us. And it was great to see. And I was incredibly appreciative of it.
And I mean, you're going to go into this team, and like we said, this schedule should be fun to see how much it's going to be a challenge for this Canfield team. We have little doubt that you guys aren't going to have plenty of success to come with this season. But let's get a chance, though, to meet this coaching staff that we're going to see on this Canfield Cardinals team this year.
Sure. So what's awesome about my coaching staff, and I've been very, very fortunate along the way, all across the board. I've never had an assistant coach besides my father, who is not assistant coach with me on this team, but he was with me at South Range and when I was at Carrollton for a season. But all my assistant coaches are former players of mine. And so that trust is massively there. My JV head coach is Christian Abreg. Christian was at South Range with me. He was one of the captains on our state Final Four run. Christian is a really young guy with a really bright future in coaching if he wants to be a part of it. He has done a great job just getting to know the boys, being a part. And it's Christian's only 21 years old. And so to have somebody that young that can still relate with the boys a little bit more than I can at 38, it's important to have that. And he knows my system. He knows exactly what's expected. He knows what it needs to be done at training. He knows the standard that I hold people to. And just to know that on that other end of practice where the JVs are practicing, I've got somebody down there that knows exactly what I'm looking for. It's huge. I've also brought on Ryan Benson, who was with me for 4 years at South Range. Ryan's a volunteer coach. His travel schedule for work kind of really interferes with him being there a lot, but when he's there, he's coaching, and the boys know that I trust him, so they can trust him. And then lastly, we just brought on a coach, Brad Larson. Brad was a player of mine at Salem, phenomenal player. He has not yet quite joined us because we brought him on quite late. It was like a last-second thing, so we're still waiting for some certificates and his pupil activity permit to be done here. So we're waiting on a state on that end. But as soon as that gets cleared through, he's going to be with us, and Brad's going to be a phenomenal coach to add into things. He is got, I believe, 2 years experience with the Salem girls before I was a coach on that side. So he brings some knowledge to it. And like I said, all three of these guys are former players of mine, and I am in a really, really great spot with assistant coaches. I'm excited about it.
Coach, before we let you go, I don't want to put too much pressure on you, but last year when we had you on, you gave us a nugget, which is stay even. It's one of your taglines, I guess I could say. And we used it throughout the whole school year. We were just, hey, anytime we were talking about a team or a successful team, we said, hey, got to stay even, just like Coach Bailey said. So this year, I want to see if you got any other new nuggets that we can kind of refresh a Mike Bailey nugget that we can use throughout the whole school year. Any more nuggets?
The stay even's going to be there forever. I'm sorry,
I
can't bring anything new to the table because that's my go-to, and it covers so much that it stays, and it'll be every single year. Stay even will be a part of my teams because the teams that have really bought into it, I think it's helped immensely. Like just a matter of controlling our emotions because it's such an emotional game. All sports are; they're all emotional, but to have that scenario and just yell out, stay even, and then the boys know exactly what you're talking about. It helps bring them back to an even keel, and then we're just ready to roll. So I'm sorry I don't have something new for you, but I promise you that stay even one's a great one.
In that stay even quote too, was that some advice that was given to you? And if not, what is some of the best advice that was given to you that you've taken as a coach and you've really used?
That was given to me by my college soccer coach, Michael McBride at Notre Dame College. Mac, that's what his name was. We called him Mac. Mac was the guy that kind of just opened my eyes to the game of soccer. I learned more in one season of playing for him than I learned my entire life up to that point in the game of soccer. And it's where like my love for the English Premier League started and just playing with guys from all over the world and stuff like that. But stay even's honestly the best advice I ever got. And I've just kind of, he preached it, and I've kind of taken it and added some more to it just on my own there. But it is that's the mantra. That's the best advice I've ever received, and it's helped me immensely from a coaching standpoint. It's helped my players, and it's something that I apply in my personal life too. It's helped me kind of relax a little bit and kind of take things as what they are and go from there.
Coach, thank you so much for the time to help us preview this Canfield boys soccer team. We know you're excited for the challenge. We're excited to cover you all season. We look forward to having you on again throughout the year, and good luck. And thank you again for the time.
Yeah, thanks, guys. It's always appreciated to come on, and always look forward to it. You guys do a phenomenal job. Keep up the great work, and we'll see you down the line.
Mike Bailey, the head coach of Canfield boys soccer, one of our favorites, joining us on Running Point. And a pleasure to have him on. We thank him again for his time. I guess stay even. We're just going to keep it. It's such a good nugget. We're just going to keep it.
We got to learn the origin stories though, too, and I think that's important too to see. All great coaches were crafted and built somewhere too, and had influences along the way. So that's always important to know too, because continuing the trend too, and I'm sure Mac learned it from someone else as well. So it's all passed down too, and the best advice usually is the one that sticks around, right?
That's like great. Like think about all the things that you've either had your dad tell you or one of the inspirational people in your life tell you, and then you think about, well, they got it from someone, and then that person got it from someone, that person got it from how many things that you have built you, how many phrases and advice and nuggets have built you in your lifetime. Then you think about where they come from and where they really originated. It's history of your family lineage. That's kind of something cool and mind blowing to think about. Your inspirational guy, or it may be or girl, whether it be your dad, your mom, or someone in your family or whatever, didn't just pull it out of thin air most of the time. They got it from someone. And if they did pull it out of thin air, then they got the knowledge to pull that nugget out of thin air from someone, or they got the wisdom to pull that out of thin air for someone. So it's cool to think about the lineage of wisdom and how it's poured out to different people throughout the history of your life and where someone got it, where they got it, where they got it, where they got it, where they got it. Good luck finding the true origin story of any type of advice that you've gotten.
Yeah, it probably stretches back generations, so it's probably not something that's going to be able to be tracked down. But like I said, the best advice is the one that sticks around, right? So I mean, that's obviously going to be prevalent in the game, I think, because it's been successful elsewhere.
Stay even. That's what we're going to keep it. But I think he inadvertently gave me one that I like too, and it's not his, but he said it.
I know.
Play stupid games, win stupid prizes.
I was thinking,
I like that. That's kind of ooh. Hey, you're messing around, you're screwing around.
Play stupid games. I mean, if you go play a stupid game, you're gonna win a stupid prize.
Hey, unless you're at the fair, sometimes those prizes for those stupid games are pretty cool.
To you, maybe.
giant plush basketball.
That's Ant's thing. Ant won't go and buy it for $4. He'll waste $25 on the game to play.
You can't go up to those guys and be like, "Here's $4, give me that." No, they're gonna be like, they'd sell you it to however much money you'd pay to actually get it anyway.
You could just go to the stores and someone and get it for cheaper. They have to buy it from somewhere. They're not making it off the truck.
I'd rather win it, I'm gonna win it. I'll win it. Even if I have to pay off the carny, I'm gonna win it. Hey, make that bottle.
You gotta pay off the carny.
Here's an extra 10. Make that bottle fall.
I need to win that.
I had never won one of those games in my life until one time, I won the it was out of the blue too. Like this is one of the ones that I never thought I'd ever win. Like I was like, there's no way I win this one because but my dad loves it and he always would play it every time he took me to the fair and I would play it too. But I won it. It's it's a plastic frogs and you hit the sledgehammer that flings it and you have to get it into the lily. But you have to do that like 3 times to win the biggest prize.
Yeah, I think I know what you're talking about.
I was like 10. I was like, I'm not gonna be able to even like throw this hammer with anywhere close to enough for us to even get it to the lily. But I'm like, bang, and it goes and it like hits the lip of the lily and falls in. I was like, yeah, there's one. And the carny's like, hey, you got to get 2 more. I was like, oh, cool. And I guess the adrenaline from getting one like made me hit it hard enough to get another one. And then I got a 3rd one. I was like, oh my God. Yeah. So that's my victory story at the Canfield Fair. I don't even remember what I won. I think it was one of those big blow up aliens.
That's what you got, and you got the big alien. Do you still have it?
Because it's one of those ones that I remember my mom would always say we have to get rid of that. That's stupid. It's in, why is it taking up like? But it's cool. It's like it's got the little cloak, so it's not like just it looks like an alien wizard. It looks like an alien from Star Wars. It's got the little like black cloak. It looks like a Sith Lord. I don't know. I keep it.
Yeah. That don't sound too bad.
In my closet somewhere.
I'm in my closet somewhere. You got it.
I got it.
That's got to be your like Halloween costume. Then you gotta throw on the cape.
You know what? It's still got air in it, and I blew it up. So no matter what happens to me in the future, my breath is in that alien. So I live on forever.
There you go, Ant.
There you go.
Oh my God.
Mm-hmm.
Ant's there.
Answer to immortality, my friends. Blow up alien, and your breath will forever be in there. So there's the
Ant's got it down. The secret to life.
Secret to life, right there.
You got it, Ant.
Holy smokes, we got so off track.
Yeah, well, here we are.
You never thought you were going to learn about giant inflatable aliens that you went to the Canfield Fair on Running Point, did you?
No, but I mean, it was perfect timing. We just talked to Canfield's head soccer coach for the boys this year. So
why is that perfect timing?
You talked about Canfield Fair when we were just talking.
Oh, Canfield. Okay, I get Canfield Fair.
I mean, you mentioned the Canfield Fair.
Fair enough.
There you go. Now you're just being silly.
Ty, before we left on Friday, we got through a little over half of the MVAC Scarlet tier when we're doing our volleyball previews and schedule breakdowns. I want to finish the Scarlet tier today before we head out of here. We have to get to the Lobo Rockets, who we think are going to be one of those middle tier teams in the MVAC. Definitely good enough to be competitive. Definitely good enough to throw a monkey wrench into things. And let's go over their schedule and what it will look like this season for the Rockets. And they will open the season on August 20th, which is Saturday. They will be at home hosting Struthers. And then they will go on the road against Springfield, on the road against Sebring, on the road against East, back home after a 3-game road stand against Jackson Milton. They will host Western Reserve, go back on the road to Mineral Ridge. They will go to Waterloo, come back home for a non-conference game with Mooney before they host McDonald back in conference play. They will host Sebring, go to Jackson Milton, then go to Western Reserve. A non-conference game at home against Matthews before they host Waterloo, go to McDonald, host Mineral Ridge, a non-conference game, then hosting Chalker. They will travel to Camel Memorial in a non-conference game, and they will end the season at a conference on October 12th against Lordstown.
Yeah, and I mean the biggest story for Lowville this season is just the loss of four seniors from last year, and that was Haley Cutter, Sammy Moore, Sammy Kelly, and Candace Marsh. I mean, those are the big seniors that you're going to be missing out on. But there's still some juniors that were very talented that are going to come back as seniors this year. Frankie Lelios, one that I think was there. I mean, Carly, Coppola, I think Vari Coppola, I think is one too. She's also on the basketball team,
just like the film director.
Yeah. Coppola. There was a lot of and then Prosick too. We know Savannah Prosick too. She's a talented one as well. Sydney Price, another one. So there's a lot of girls that you just are waiting to step up to fill those seniors' holes, because I mean all 4 of those seniors produced massively last year.
And let's not beat around. I mean, the most important loss, the most important piece of that team last year was Sammy Kelly. She hit when she wasn't setting. She was an absolute leader to that team. And trying to someone is going to have to step in, not only be a setter, but be a leader and be an emotional kind of drive for this team, because Kelly was that for so many years. And obviously she graduates and her father moves on from, he said he officially retired from coaching. So he's no longer coaching volleyball at Lowville. So they have a new coach, a new system. It's a perfect time to get new leaders, right? I think one of the perfect times to get new leaders into your program are when you have to bring in a new coach anyway.
I mean, it's going to be interesting for Lowville this season because they were 12-11 a year ago, right? So, I mean, this was a Lowville team, 5-9 in their conference as well. They went on a nice little run in the tournament, beating Wyndham before ultimately falling to Wellsville, which a lot of teams did last year.
I don't think there's any fault in that.
No. But in these games that they were in, a 3-2 loss to Springfield, that could have gone either way in sets, that is, too. Lost to McDonald last year, 3-0. That beat Springfield the second time around, 3-2. Dropped 1 to Western Reserve. Dropped 1 to McDonald, Mineral Ridge. So it's just those top teams. I mean, if Lowville can turn the tide on those top teams, they competed and won with everyone else below them, too. And Jackson Milton, obviously another one that they had their troubles with at some points during the season, but I don't see any reason why. I mean, if the girls can step up there in Lowville, they should have enough of the seniority coming back this season. Right. 12-11, you just got to put some pieces in the right place. But I mean, if you kind of come in with that kind of attitude again, where these girls have been there, at least these girls have come back from last year. They've competed with these girls before too, and maybe getting a taste of some wins last year will drive them and make them hungry for this year.
And who are these? A lot of these girls were on the basketball team last year, tasted success in softball. And you can't argue with the experience of successful teams. It's going to trickle down into the other sports you play. So now that they've tasted some success in basketball, they had that big tournament game in Badger that they won in basketball. They also had some success in softball. So they're going to bring a pedigree of success. So these multiple sport athletes that are on the volleyball team. And that's going to help the Rockets. You know, anytime you have that taste of success, you want it everywhere you go. And the standard's going to be there. The work ethic's going to be there. So you know that they lost a couple of really big pieces, especially Sammy Kelly. But you also know that they're going to come into this year with more of a winning culture, I think there's going to be a more from these athletes, there's going to be a bigger expectation to win. when they step on the floor, not just trying to win. I've said it before. In sports, hope is kind of a distraction, right? It's great in life, but when we're talking about sports, hope gives you the possibility that losing will happen. So you can't hope to win. You got to go into the floor. You got to go into the gym, the field, court, whatever you're going into. You have to go in stepping on the floor, expecting to win that game, not hoping. So I think that's going to be the difference this year. I think Louisville has a core of girls in their athletics program that will also be on this volleyball team that have started to build a winning culture and starting to build that expectation to win.
The biggest thing, too, you look at Louisville, they were one of 6 teams in that Scarlet Start at the MVAC with 10 or more wins on the season. This is a very good conference they play in. Thing was, Louisville, of their 11 losses, 9 came within the conference. They were 5-9 in the conference. So then by process of elimination, that's only telling me they were 7-2 in non-conference games. So it's just doing better inside that conference is going to what I think separate Louisville. They were 5th in the conference last year too. So to get in that kind of like top spot, those top 4 teams, it's just going to take a few pieces and just you got the experience now. You just need a few pieces to step up. I can't imagine it's much more than a few X's and O's, considering, too, that they were competing with some of these teams.
Non-conference games this year, just to go back over them since we went through the schedule so quick. They have East out of conference. They have Mooney out of conference. They have, Matthews out of conference, Chalker out of conference, Camel out of conference, and Lordstown out of conference. So that's it. That's a conference schedule that has a couple of teams that are, would be great victories, great program building victories like Mooney and Matthews. But then they have, teams that are, programs struggling like Lordstown that you can definitely pick up some extra wins against.
You want some confidence checks is what you want too, especially with a team, like you said, that loses someone like Sammy Kelly. You need to get someone into that role too. Sometimes it's hard to get those engines rolling when you're suffering some defeats too. So you need some confidence checks. You need to know that what we are doing can result in wins too. So, you make sure your schedule sometimes has those in there, depending on when it is in your program and what you need.
Ty, on Friday, I almost said yesterday. So on Friday, we also brought up Sebring, but we never went over their schedule or their season preview. And we know that they lose someone in Blake Thomas, who was pretty important to their blocking last year. So let's go over their schedule this season to see what they have in front of them. The Trojans will open the season on the 22nd. They will be hosting Our Lady of Elms at Sebring before they go on the road to open conference play against Waterloo, and they will host Lowville, host Valley Christian. They will go to Camel, to Middle Ridge, back home to host McDonald. They will travel to Jackson Milton before coming back home for Western Reserve. They will host Latonia, and they will host Waterloo, go to Lowville, go to Chalker, come back home to host Middle Ridge, go to McDonald. They will close out the season on October 4th at home against Jackson Milton.
And I think you got them mixed up too. It was Olivia Hawk that was the senior that had a lot of blocks. Blake Thomas was a sophomore.
Okay.
Blake Thomas and Olivia Hawk both had the same amount of blocks last year. Blake Thomas was a sophomore, though, coming back as a junior. So I could understand, too, where you might have gotten them confused, too.
He's a stud.
Yeah, she is a stud. She's coming back. Michael
Dunn asking for a Springfield volleyball. We have talked about Springfield at length. We have a coach's corner as well on the website. And this is the second half of the MVAC Scarlet here. We did a bunch of them on Friday as well. So if you're looking for kind of their schedule, what we think of the Tigers, what their season outlook looks like, head over to ysnlive.com and make sure to check out their volleyball coaches corner, and you can see a little bit more about what their team will look like this year.
But getting back to this,
I don't know what you mean by D. I don't.
D7 is what he said. I think he might be asking about football too. Springfield being football too. D7. I think.
Springfield
you need to clarify more, Michael, too. what you're asking.
Springfield football is D7 for sure. But we're talking volleyball right now.
Yeah, I think. Yeah, you look at all the seniors that left. You lose both the red guys. Both of them, and then you lose Olivia Hawk. But other than that, You had a trio of juniors and a bunch of sophomores too, highlighted by girls like Blake Thomas last season that are going to be coming back. And I mean, honestly, the biggest thing is the 3 seniors are what led the team in kills last year. So you're going to be looking for someone else to step up. Blake Thomas was 4th with 97 kills, but you got to wonder, are you going to keep her at middle block, or are you going to utilize her on an outside hitter?
It's going to be hard to move her out of middle block.
It's hard because her height is so useful outside of that middle block, but we've seen other girls move and have success.
She's got such a good blocking technique. I like watching Blake Thomas block.
She's going to be huge, too, for this upcoming season because, like I was telling you, she had 48 blocks last year, 46 of them solo blocks as well. So her coming back as a junior this year is going to be impactful. How about this, too? Also, 39 aces serving-wise. Not a bad number either on that as well. I think one of the things you're going to be looking at, and really someone that's going to be huge, is Emma Lynn this year. She had over 250 digs a year ago. That was good enough for about 3rd on her team. She's going to need to step up defensively. She's going to probably be one of the anchors Sebring's going to be looking at this year. But the biggest thing we always talk about it, Ant, is bringing back your setter, Mallory Harshman. She's coming back as a senior, and that's going to be huge for Sebring, I think, this year.
Setters are important. They are important. And when you bring one back, you lose some skill players, but you bring back your setter. Oh, that's a big advantage. That's a big advantage.
Yeah. And I mean, if the girls that we expect to return to Sebring return, they should be in store for another solid season. They were 11-13 a year ago. So they were another one of those teams with over 10 wins, just 2 games under 500.
The Scarlet tier is so good. 11-13. You're not a lot of teams that are like sitting there at, no wins.
Here's the funny thing too. Sebring was 8-2 out of conference, 3-11 in the conference. So again, similar case to Lover, where Sebring just needs to compete better in the conference, and it's tough. It's a tough ask because it's a very tough conference. But Sebring had a lot of success outside of that conference last year.
It's definitely a hard conference to try to build a culture. And I mean, you look at this, you have to go up against McDonald twice, Middle Ridge twice, and Western Reserve twice. That's 6 games right there that are just high-level volleyball that you're kind of throwing a lot of young girls into anyway. And then, you mix in, a Springfield, Jackson, Milton type teams that are pretty talented, to go right with it. Like I said, that's a brutal conference to try to build a program in. But 11-13, they're coming off of some success.
Including, and you know what? For some reason, it always is Springfield's bugaboo. A 3-0 sweep on October 14th last year, Sebring had in Sebring against Springfield. It's something about Springfield playing in Sebring that there's always a bugaboo about with sports.
Remember that's towards the end of the season. October 14th, probably the last game of the season. Caveat, don't want to take anything, that's a great game from Sebring, not taking anything away, but Springfield was hurt with injury at the end of last volleyball.
Yeah, and they didn't have all the starters that they started with. So, I mean, big caveat, but still, that's a huge confidence win for them too last year, and that's something you can build off of. Going into this year, I mean, that's going to be the nature and the story of Sebring this year. I mean, very similar non-conference schedule from what you read off to what I see this upcoming season. And I mean, as conference goes too, it's just going to be pick up more wins if you can too. You're going to have to try to do better than 3-11. You return a decent amount. You're just going to have to fill the holes in those 3 seniors too, in Hawk and both the Ray guys. Those are the top kill getters. Who's going to be your attackers now is going to be the question.
That's going to be the big. I mean, can they sneak wins against Lowville, Jackson, Milton, Springfield?
Dropped Lowville 3-2 last season in sets as well.
And then try to learn at least from the games against the top 3. Try to build the low at least. I think going into those games, the goal is always to win. But I think the takeaway shouldn't be whether you won or lost. Is did you use that to get better? Did you get better in that game?
And it's now the big 4 for volleyball, which is Western Reserve, Jacksonville, McDonald, Mineral Ridge. If you can crack those top 4, and that's the thing we've seen in a lot of Lowville's schedule, a lot of Sebring's schedule, a lot of those teams in the bottom 4 of the MVAC out of those 8 teams on that Scarlet tier, is that they get swept a lot too. Can you get competitive just in those games too? Maybe take a set. It starts with at least taking a set, maybe taking 2 sets off of a team before necessarily winning too, because outright it's those top 4 teams that have been dominant with the bottom 4 teams, and they've kind of slugged it out amongst each other. If you want to be in that conversation and break that threshold, break that ceiling, I guess, if you will, you got to start competing with them in those games.
Ty, we don't want to leave out Waterloo. We know that they're a Scarlet team and they're in this conference, but we've been talking to Coach Franks and the athletic director, and we know that there are a lot of new faces in Waterloo and a lot of new faces on this roster that honestly we haven't been able to see yet. So we don't want to try to sit and talk about a team that we don't we haven't been able to really see. We are in talks with Coach Franks. We are going to get her on soon. So when she comes on, she'll be able to give us a much more clear idea of what Waterloo is going to look like this year.
Yeah, it should be fun once we get Coach Franks on, and I mean, just discussing the upcoming season and what we have to expect, honestly.
Yeah, so with that, we'll leave Waterloo aside until Coach Franks comes on and gives us a very good Waterloo preview. I want to go into a couple of our independent schools, and Louisville is a team that we haven't talked about a lot yet. That is a very good volleyball program that needs to be talked about. Will be an independent this year, and I want to look at their volleyball schedule and see, how tough it is this year. It's always tough. How it compares to last year's. We know last year's volleyball schedule was a monster for Louisville, and they open up the season on Tuesday, August 23rd. They will be at home against Massillon Perry, and then they will go away to play Glen Oak. They will come home to play Tuskegee Valley. Those 3 right there. All you need to know. That's it. Yes, their volleyball schedule is tough. Those 3 games, you can play those 3 and be ready. Then they go to, I don't even know who. It's Stowe Monroe Falls. Okay. I was looking, it was like SMFHS. I was like, what the heck? Stowe is Stowe Monroe Falls. So they'll go host Stowe. They'll host Dover.
I tell you what, that Stowe Monroe Falls too, not to interrupt, but I mean, that Stowe Monroe Falls, I've driven by that school, huge. Like it looks like a factory built next to another factory. It is enormous.
And they have Twix right and Twix left in there.
Yeah, it literally is. It's like 2 factories combined. It's huge.
They will host Dover, host Uniontown Lake, host Hoover, and then they will end their homestand because they will go on the road to Talman. They'll return back home to New Philadelphia, hit the road to Columbus, and I don't think that's right. The schedule says Columbus out of Mississippi, but I don't think they're traveling to Mississippi.
That doesn't seem right.
Doesn't seem right. I'm going to skip that one, go right to the next game, which would be Monday the 21st at Austintown Fitch. Then they will go at Massillon Tuslaw. They will go to Hoban. They will go to Canton Central Catholic, host Smithville, and then host Alliance to end the season on October 12th. Yes, a very, very good schedule for Louisville, indeed.
Absolutely. A very good schedule. And I mean, this is a Louisville program that has over 600 wins in their volleyball history too. So they've been there, they've done that. 600 wins, and I think only 440 losses wise, like very good winning percentage over the year. So a 10-13 year is actually a pretty down year for Louisville, honestly.
Yeah.
And
But then you look at their schedule and you go, it's not.
I mean, you look at the schedule and what they've got, the 10 wins. I mean, that's still impressive, 10 wins, but Louisville, what their fans expect and what that school and what these athletes expect of themselves. They want a winning season every time out, and they have a great chance of doing so. You lose your seniors too. Kelsey Adelman is going to be your biggest one too. She was the top kill getter from a year ago. But you got names like Brooke Herron that are going to be able to sit there and step up too, that had 136 kills a year ago. And I mean, she did it on a 34.5% kill percentage. So you getting that back is going to be huge too. Herron also had 41 aces a year ago. And to go with that too, I think honestly, the biggest thing when I look at Louisville's stats from a year ago is just getting those block numbers up. And honestly, their top 3 block getters in Seipel, Burke, and Herron were all sophomores a year ago. So maybe just learning the form, learning the technique, getting that timing down a little bit more will increase the blocks. Because I tell you what, you look at the height some of these girls. And yeah, granted, the competition's there, so you're going to see some tall middle blocks across the way as well. But like Brooke Heron is, I think, 5'10", so like not short in this realm at all too for at the net defense, and that's going to be, I think, key this year too. And I believe I want to say that Salone Seipel too is also fairly tall as well as one of the middle blockers.
You know, you look at this team, and I think one of the players that is going to come into the fold as a sophomore this year and in that middle blocking stage is that Addison Thomas. She's going to be a sophomore middle blocker, and she had a really good freshman season in the JV squad. But she's going to come up, and I think she's going to be one of those players that come out of the ranks and come out of the shadows for Louisville this year.
Yeah, and honestly, I think if you look at anything, and Burrick is going to be a huge help because on top of the aces, she had 588 assists last year as a sophomore.
Also listed as a captain along with Alexis Job, a senior. Those two have been listed as captains on the team.
Over 7.5 assists a set is doing work too. And if you're Burrick as a sophomore with a schedule that they had, her coming back as a junior is going to be huge. The biggest thing I think is where we need to see someone step up. You're going to need defense because Emma Davis had 350 digs a year ago. She graduated. She's gone. Kelsey Adelman had 196 digs and 194 kills, almost a 200 player that you got to replace. Yeah, that's tough to do. And when you look at about 20 games in a schedule too, I mean that you're looking in however many sets you play in a match, though, you're averaging close to 10 kills, 10 digs in a set too, roughly around probably 8 realistically. How do you replace that too? That's got to be something you got to look for. And it's just these girls that have to step up too. You had a great sophomore class in this Louisville program that you're going to get for the next 2 years. And it starts with your setter. It starts with a couple middle blockers, and maybe one of those middle blockers move to outside hitters too. And you can maybe finesse that because they have some decent height as Louisville.
It's going to be really important to open the season well on this little homestand they have. I mean, they host Perry to open the season, then they hit the road. But after they hit the road against Glen Oak, it is home. So 5 straight home games, tough teams like Tusky Valley. We know what they're capable of in Division III. Stone Monroe Falls, Dover, Lake, Hoover. So yes, very tough teams coming into Louisville. But 6 out of their first 7 games are all at the Leopards' Den. So you got to make sure you take care of your home floor and try to protect your home court as much as possible. You come out of that 7-game streak and you're, 5-2 or 4-3. That's a win.
I tell you what, if there's one player that I really think you're going to have to watch certain games that can be a difference maker, you're going to have to look at Burrick, because if you look at Edison Burrick and what she has done just last year as a sophomore, not just the assist numbers that are impressive. You look at what she can do as a serve, like we said, 25 aces as well, but she also has a decent amount of blocks, 30 blocks, because she's a 5'9", 5'10", right in that range setter. You don't see that kind of height at setter too often too. And that's going to be a key, I think, in playing some of these teams. Having a taller setter like that can really help too, because like you said, and then you don't have to worry about rotation wise too when you have those shorter setters up on the net.
That automatically tells me that they run a 5-1 because obviously your setter's not going to block if you're on the 6-2 because your setter will always be in the back.
30 blocks. She was second on the team last year, was Burrick, with blocks. So I mean, she plays great defense too on the net when she's on there.
Yeah, I mean, and then I think, you look at the end of their schedule. I always like to look at the end and see how a team finishes getting ready for tournament time. Their last games are going to be Hoban, Canton Central Catholic, Smithville, who is a Division III powerhouse in the Barberton region, and Alliance. So I think that's a pretty good way to end the season as well.
I think it is. And I think they are going to have a great team ahead of them too that's going to be able to compete. Like I said, I think you're going to be looking at some really good players like Seipold and Heron that are going to step up. And I really think you're going to see a ton out of Burrick because the stats you see, I think they don't lie from last year.
I actually think I'm scheduled to be at that. I will be at the game where they host Smithville. So
that'll be awesome. Then you get to see her. I want you to check out Burke, because like here's just some other off the wall stats that I want to talk about too. For a setter, 85 kills on a 243 hit percentage, not bad at all for a setter. I mentioned the 25 aces, I mentioned the 30 blocks, but also she was 4th on the team in digs at 164 a year ago, and of course the 588 assists. Another one of those kind of do-all players, and she's going to get more looks on the kills too. And if she's more aggressive on the net, more confident in herself, she could probably get that number, push it well over and into the hundreds too. This could be a player that we could see get triple digits in multiple categories this year too.
I think I wouldn't doubt it one bit.
If you could get triple digits in kills, assists, and digs, and then come up with like 50 blocks and maybe 50 aces. Like what coach wouldn't take that kind of player that could be productive all over the place?
Like if you do that in Division I, in my mind, like my vote, you are in the conversation for Player of the Year.
I gotta figure that too. And I mean,
because I know a lot of girls are gonna put up like 400 kills. They're gonna need a lot of love. If you have 200, like 200, 100, 100, and then like 50-50, to me, that's just as, if not more impressive than someone that gets 450 kills in a season.
If she does it as a setter too, so I mean 588 assists. So if she pushes that number even in over 500s, even into the 600s, and she ends up with over 100 kills, maybe even pushes it to 200. She was just under 200 digs, and then she had 25 aces, 30 blocks. I mean, those numbers, if you can get those up too, which you played travel volleyball, you're working on it. I'm telling you, this Burke too, going into her junior season, very impressive sophomore year too, where you might see slumps from some players too. She was impressive for Division I. I'm excited to see what she can do for her junior year.
Yeah, it's that. I mean, like I said, we hadn't talked about Louisville a lot yet this year for volleyball, but they're going to be a program that you talk about a lot going on the season. No matter what their actual record looks like, they're a team that can definitely make some waves.
I traveled there last year with a very good Fitch team, and I tell you what, I think it went 5 sets to my recollection, if it serves me correct, a 5-set match too that Fitch barely squeaked out. That Louisville was up 2-1 at one point. This was a team that you don't look at their record and say, oh, they're not that good. They have a losing record too, because you look at the teams they face and then you read between the lines and how close all their losses were a year ago. Like Louisville was competitive with everyone they played, no matter if they won or lost.
This is working out really good because we have 2 more, I should say, conferences / groups of teams to get to. And we have 2 days left to do it because Thursday and Friday are going to be like all in on football previews. We have football galore. So we have 2 more days to kind of get through these volleyball previews. We still have the Steel Valley Conference with Mooney, Ursuline, Cheney, East, and am I missing?
No, I think it's 4 teams in that conference.
So we have those 4. We have Badger and Mohawk that we have to get to, as well as Wyndham. So we have 7 teams left, 2 days to get them. So look for those teams in the next 2 days as we finish up kind of the volleyball schedule season previews. We're also going to be having a couple more coaches come on in the next couple of days as well. As we look at tomorrow's schedule for coaches on Running Point, we will kick things off tomorrow at 12:30 with Leah Eft, the head coach of the Edison volleyball team, followed at 12:45 by Tony Shaheen, the new head coach at Cardinal Mooney. And then we will also be joined by Coach Huda from the Poland girls soccer program tomorrow at 1:15. So we'll have 3 more coaches on tomorrow, and then we'll also have Camel volleyball. Coach Tyler Allen will be joining us on Wednesday. So still have some volleyball coaches to get to before we get loaded up with football on Thursday and Friday. But we have, 7 more teams to really get through their schedule, a couple more coaches. It's going to be a fun couple of days as we gear up for the start of fall season here on Running Point.
We can't wait for it, and it all kicks off on Thursday too, with games galore, and all the way into the weekend and all the way into next week. Fall sports is in the air, folks. We just got a couple days to get through.
Speaking of Thursday, reminder that the United versus Waterloo football game on Thursday has been now pushed to Friday. It is a Friday game, not a Thursday game, so that will be they'll still be playing this week on Friday. We want to take the time to thank our guest today for coming on, Cheryl Fico, the head coach of the West Branch girls soccer program, along with Matt Britton, the head coach of the Moody boys program, and Mike Bailey, the head coach of the Canfield boys soccer program. Thank them all for their time. We look forward to covering them all season, and we look forward to also having them on again throughout the year as well. Tomorrow, like I said, we have 3 coaches on the docket for you. Coach Huda from Poland Girls Soccer. We also have Coach Leah Eft from Edison, and then we have Tony Shaheen from Cardinal Mooney all joining us tomorrow on Running Point. We're going to take a 22-hour break. We'll be back tomorrow from 12 to 2. Casual Sports Podcast coming up next from 2 to 3. Power Hours got you taken care of from 3 to 4. This has been